What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Amanda back on the show, the co-host. Good to have you.
Good to be here as always. Excited to get started tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the 2023 NFL Week 6 preview, and can't wait to talk some more football, getting into the heart of the season. It's a lot of fun. And let's talk about Thursday night. The 1-4 Broncos at the 4-1 Chiefs in Arrowhead. Travis Kelce playing despite that ankle injury he suffered on Sunday. Good to see him out there playing through it. What do you think of the Broncos with Frank Clark out, and then he's released this week? I mean, Frank Clark, very valuable for the Chiefs. Very productive in the playoffs, like third all time in sacks in the playoffs. Um, but like zero impact in Denver, no sacks, only 2 games played. Why do you think Frank Clark like didn't do anything in Denver?
I just don't think he was utilized properly. I mean, some players play really well in specific systems. I think they need like the right coaching and the right setup. And I mean, he was trying to go. I just don't think his heart was in it for Denver. I mean, he gave back money to create a scenario where they could let him go. And I think he just wasn't in it with Denver this year.
Yeah, and it sounds like everyone's saying he's going to go back to Kansas City. So maybe, he just wants to be on the Chiefs. I don't know. It's interesting, yeah, that he would take a pay cut to get cut.
Yeah, I think it's
But
interesting that the Broncos have recently parted ways with Randy Gregory as well and him. I just think it's a it's a sign of how the Broncos are feeling internally that players are just trying to leave and just not
yeah,
performing.
yeah, not only them two, but there's been some talk about Justin Simmons and then Jerry Jeudy as well. So be interesting to see what the Broncos do and if they have a fire sale or what with their players.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but let's get into this game. The Chiefs lead 13-0 at halftime. Broncos cut it to a one possession game. They cut it to 16-8 after a 2-point conversion, but the Chiefs kick a field goal and win 19-8 in a pretty sloppy game. Lots of turnovers on downs. The Chiefs, to me, seem like they were just like playing with their food in this game. Like they knew. You see this with Kansas City from time to time. They know they're the better team, and they kind of just like go through the motions and try some different things and don't play a clean game. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, you said it in our last podcast that the Chiefs play down to their opponent, and I absolutely agree with you. They when they're comfortable in the win, they barely try. They sub in some plays that they don't normally do. I mean, I think three back laterals in this game. I think
Yeah.
they use this as a practice. They were just trying stuff that they don't normally do to see if it would work in a real game and not treating this as if it was a real opponent.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's ever going to come back to bite them. I don't think that it's an issue in the regular season as long as they get, win the division and get a home playoff game. But I wonder if at any point it comes back to bite them in the playoffs or anything. I don't know. But some interesting play calling, like going forward on 4th and 2, and instead of leaving Mahomes and the offense out there, they try a tight end quarterback sneak like fake from the kick. What did you think of that? I mean, if you're gonna go for it, why not have Mahomes on the field?
Yeah, I think again that was one of those situations that like, hey, let's try this play, and if it works, cool. If not, we're playing the Broncos. I mean, with their win this week, the Chiefs have now won 16 in a row against the Broncos. So it's the
Wow.
third longest streak in NFL history for any team against a single opponent. I think they just knew they could get away with trying some new and unusual things, and if they didn't pay off, they could, come back and win the game however they needed to. So I just don't think they ever thought they had any chance of losing this game, and they were just trying some stuff. I mean, a fake punt didn't seem smart here, but then again, they didn't ever seem like they were concerned about losing. So why not try it in this game?
Yeah, and it's pretty bad that, it's gotten to this point where the Broncos literally can't beat the Chiefs And you even have Broncos have weapons. They got Sean Payton at coach. You got Russell Wilson. You got Cortland Sutton. You got guys, Javonte Williams, but they just can't seem to get it going. Harrison Butker, in my opinion, is the MVP of the game, 4 for 4 on field goals, and he hit that 60-yarder right before halftime to put him up 13-0. But just a sloppy game overall. Travis Kelce looked good for playing on an injured ankle, 9 catches for 124 yards. What do you think of this Broncos offense? That we all know the defense is terrible, but the offense just I tweeted and posted a few things about like I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. Like it looks so bad.
I mean, I think that Russell Wilson has been unfairly blamed a bit throughout the season. But this week, that was all Russell Wilson. I mean, the narrative going into this game for the season is, oh, it's Russell Wilson's fault. He's fallen off. He can't play anymore. And I mean, looking at his numbers and like what has happened in previous games, I wouldn't say that. This week, oh my God, he was
Yeah,
just bad. I mean, his poor play definitely contributed to the loss and maybe caused the loss. I mean, he could not run the ball. He could not get the ball out. I mean, just it was bad. I don't think he was pressured overly, but he was holding onto the ball way too long, running directly into sacks. There was twice when I saw times when he could have used his legs, like the Russell Wilson of old, and avoided it and gotten the first down, and he ran straight into a sack instead. I mean, his accuracy was awful. Yeah, so this week I think it was a lot on Russ, but that play calling just it was lackluster at best. It wasn't, I mean, I don't know what was happening there, but it just didn't seem like they were making any plan to do any. I mean, you're playing Kansas City.
hmm
Travis Kelce, always open. The entire game, he was just completely wide open. But on offense, like the Denver offense wasn't accomplishing anything. It didn't seem like they had a plan. There was no purpose. I mean, I don't know what was happening there. Denver only attempted one pass longer than 10 fields or 10 yards downfield in the first 3 quarters.
Wow.
When you have 3 receivers with more than 200 yards, why can't why aren't you using them? Why can't you include them in your play? I mean, there was no play action. I don't know what the play calling was in this game and what was going on there.
Yeah, I don't either. They look lost. They look confused, out of sorts, no chemistry. It looks bad. It looks like a locker room issue, a organizational issue, a talent issue. It looks all across the board. Nothing is going right. It's crazy how bad it can look at times in the NFL. I've seen it with my Bears. Uh, you've seen it recently at times with Green Bay. I don't know if it's been to this level, but Denver looked terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have to give props to their defense. I know Kansas City played down. They weren't like Miami. Miami came in and planned to blow up against Denver, and Kansas City played down a bit. But I mean, for the most of the first half, like it was a pretty solid show on Denver's defense. I'll give them points for that. I mean, they made it almost 2 full quarters because all of those points were scored in the last 6 minutes of the first half.
yeah,
So, I mean, they looked good for a second there.
yeah, and only what's 2 field goals in the second half as well.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's a hard game to really figure out because it's like the Chiefs are playing down to their opponent, and even when they're playing down, it's not that competitive. Just a bad football game overall.
Yeah.
Did you see pregame where NFL Network analyst Steve Smith had a little confrontation with Jerry Jeudy and then called him out in a major way on the broadcast? We've seen this now multiple weeks this season, and for a while now, former players really going at current players. I don't know if it's a good look. I like Steve Smith. He's always been that type of guy. He's been very opinionated, very in your face. He's not afraid to tell you what he thinks. But do you think this is a bad look from Rodney Harrison, Steve Smith, multiple former players being super critical of current players? JJ Watt had a lot to say about this week on the Pat McAfee show.
Um, I'm not a Steve Smith fan. I don't like him. I think he just runs his mouth too much.
hmm
And I know he's a passionate guy, but sometimes like not every thought that comes out of your mouth needs to be that emblazoned. Like he's a hothead and it just kind of irks me. And I don't like how he walked it back afterwards. Like he came back and attempted to apologize. Like if you're gonna say it, stand behind your words.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, your opinion's your opinion, but I mean, yeah, he has a place to stand from. I mean, he was productive when he was in the NFL. It's not like Orlovsky over here running his mouth, but I, I don't know. I just think they need to remember what it's like to be in the NFL and in the moment sometimes. Because like looking from the outside and in a time when social media and everything is so much more prevalent, there are a lot of different rules. And I feel like media is so much more invasive in the
yeah,
lives of present NFL players than it was back when he was in the NFL.
yeah. I agree. And J.J. Watt had a good point where he's like, even the best players in the game are gonna have lowlights. Like he's like you could do a low light clips, a low light uh montage of my career, and JJ Watt said I would look like shit. He's like, I've had small ass wide receivers put me on my back in a game and missed tackles and missed assignments. And he's like, you can do that with literally anybody. So to be super hypercritical of these players is kind of a bad look, and I kind of agree with it. I like Steve Smith, but I think that mouth and that energy that he brings was much more suited when he was on the field playing the game than being an analyst. And I agree. Why are you going to walk it back too? So
Yeah.
a lot of interesting stuff to take from this game, along with the NFL beating the Taylor Swift stuff to death.
Oh
Like
my.
it's dead already. Let it go.
Yeah, I've seen people turn it into a drinking game. You take a shot every time Taylor Swift is on the screen. But I mean, people are
Yeah,
gonna die of liver disease at this rate. Like, just it doesn't matter.
I think it's turning people off to it too. Like there's a lot of people, including myself, who are indifferent about Taylor Swift. We don't really listen to her music. We don't really care. We know that she's famous and good at what she does, but we don't really care. Shoving her in the face every chance you get is actively making us hate her. Like honestly, like enough already. Like let's move on. Let's football.
Yeah, I'm ready to get back to football. That being said, do you want to move on to our picks for the week?
Yeah, real quick. But before we move on, I wanted to say the Chiefs are on a 5 game winning streak since losing the season opener to the Lions. What's
Hmm.
their next best chance to lose? How far can they take this winning streak? In week 9, they play in Germany against the Dolphins, and week 11, after their bye week, they host the Eagles. You think either of those teams can beat them?
I mean, I would love to see it. What I want, I don't think this will happen, but I would love for the Broncos at home October
Mm-hmm.
29th to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah. Are
I
you
know
gonna
it
pick
won't
it?
happen, but I mean they've got the blueprint. They were just there. If the
Yeah.
Broncos could address some of those issues and fix some of their locker room tensions, I mean it would be very entertaining for NFL fans if the Broncos came back and beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, the question is, are you gonna pick it? That's what I want to know.
I mean, probably not, but let's see in the moment. I mean, we've picked some upsets and been right.
Yeah,
Let's give it a couple weeks and see how everything's looking on paper.
absolutely. So, let's get into Sunday. This week is gonna be a lot of good football games. So let's not let Thursday night, uh, change our thoughts about the week. So let's get into it. The London game is gonna be a lot of fun. The 3-2 Ravens against the 2-3 Titans. Both teams coming off of bad losses that they feel like they should have won. Who do you think rebounds and gets it done? The Titans will be without wide receiver Traylon Burks for a third straight game. What are your thoughts on this?
So this one I think is going to be interesting. I think that it's going to come down to the Titans offense versus the Ravens red zone defense. I think that's going to be a great matchup. I mean, the Ravens defense has given up touchdowns on the NFL low 25% of opposing offenses visits inside the 20-yard line. Meanwhile, the Titans have scored touchdowns on only 35% of their red zone visits. So I think the Ravens have the upper hand there. But I think the difference is going to come down to if they can get a touchdown versus a field goal. If
Hmm.
the Titans get held to field goals, the Ravens will take this for sure. But Zay Flowers is tied with the Jaguars tight end, Evan Ingram, for the most catches this season without reaching the end zone. And we love Zay in the draft, but we've yet to see a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he has his breakout game here, it could definitely be the Ravens game. But I mean, that Titans secondary has been really good, just 5 passing touchdowns so far this season. So yeah, I think it's going to be a real close give and take kind of situation.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a hard fought game. I think it's lower scoring. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. Both good defenses, and I like both teams. So it's a tough pick. It's a true toss them up. Who are you picking here?
I've got the Ravens. I think that the Titans haven't been producing enough points to cover how many points I expect the Ravens to put up. I can see them scoring about 24 here. But the Titans have scored fewer than 30 points in 23 straight games. So with that
Hmm.
Ravens defense, I just don't see the Titans being able to put up enough points to overcome that Ravens offense.
Yeah, the Titans want this game to be a low scoring, grind it out. They want to win something like 20-17. And it's an important game to see if the Ravens offense can get it going, right? The Ravens should have beat the Steelers, but they just kept making mistakes and had opportunities to score more points and didn't. So it's a good test for both teams. I'm gonna pick the Titans. I'm trailing you in our picks, so I need to do some catching up. So this is an opportunity for me. And the Titans are one of those teams where week to week they're a roller coaster. One week they look
Mhm.
terrible, the next week they look great. So give me the Titans to bounce back and get a big win uh, in London.
Yeah, I have Ravens by less than a touchdown in this one for that reason. I mean, the Ravens are very hot and cold, but it
Hmm.
seems to be an on again, off again pattern. So I'm assuming after last week they're gonna be kind of riled up and ready to win one. So that's kind of what pushed me over the edge there.
Nice. Um, let's go 2-3 Commanders at the 3-2 Falcons. Can Desmond Ritter play well 2 weeks in a row, or will Washington's defense bounce back after allowing Justin Fields and DJ Moore to go crazy on him? What do you think here?
So I think this comes down to what defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio is up to for the Commanders. If he's working out some of the kinks, I mean, they have a talented defensive front. And
Mhm.
I mean, they're playing Desmond Ritter, which I think, he's definitely not as good as Justin Fields. So I think there's more of a chance that they'll be able to handle it. I mean, Ritter's been sacked 16 times over the past 5 games. We've got Chase Young matchup against Ritter. I mean, interceptions, sacks, that's going to be a great matchup to watch there for sure. So I think, I don't know, it's going to be one of those ones where it's a close game and it just depends on which team actually shows up ready to play.
Yeah, that's why we love the NFL because of the parity, right? And it's like, both of these games could come down to the final possession and who goes and scores or who doesn't. Like Ravens Titans, both Tannehill and Lamar had an opportunity to go win the game on the final drive and both failed to do so. And unlike them two, Desmond Ritter came through with a clutch drive and then they kicked the game winning field goal against a good Texans defense. So this game's going to be very interesting, very close game. I'm going to pick I'm going to pick the Commanders on the road to bounce back. Magic Johnson, their part owner, called them out after Thursday night. I think they're a better team than they showed on Thursday night. I trust that defensive front to get after Ritter. I, you know, I just trust the Commanders to bounce back.
I mean, it is a great opportunity for the Commanders to get their pass rush unit going. I mean, they've got a bunch of big names on it, but they've ranked just 26th so far this season.
Yeah,
However, Ritter is taking higher than average sacks this year. So I mean this would be the game to go after that pass rush, but I don't know. I mean the Falcons defense is looking a bit better, especially at containing wide receivers. So I gotta choose the Falcons on this one, but I do think it's gonna be another close game.
yeah. So far, two toss-ups, really. It could go either
Mhm.
way.
All right. Well,
Let's,
we're 2 for 2 different so far.
yeah,
I
good.
like
I need it. I need it.
Okay, well, speaking of things you need, do you think your Bears are going to get a win? We got the 1-4 Bears again are at home versus the 1-4 Vikings. How are you feeling about this one with your gem of a wide receiver going on IR this week?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson on IR. That's a huge loss for the Vikings, but not also for the Bears. Running back number one, Khalil Herbert, goes on IR. So uh, Justin Jefferson obviously more important to the Vikings, but Khalil Herbert is a decent loss.
He's been playing really well this season.
Yeah, he's been, he's definitely important, but the big thing I'm gonna have my eye on is Justin Fields. In his last two games, 8 touchdowns and just one interception. And that's something that Bears fans have been waiting on for a while. He started the season so poorly, and a lot of Caleb Williams talk started up, but he played so well against the Commanders and in the first half of the Broncos game. Can he continue that, or will he regress and go back to his former self? So it's a big opportunity for Fields and for the Bears. Get consecutive wins. It's a home game. The Vikings are without their number one wide receiver. Um, I'm I've been hating on the Bears all season. I'm gonna show them some love. I'm a Bears fan at heart, so if they show me any kind of positivity, I got to start to believe in it and buying it. I'm not ready to give up on Justin Fields. Go out there and put out another good performance. It doesn't have to be 4 touchdowns again. Give me 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and get a big win over the Vikings. I just think Minnesota sucks. I really do, and I think the Bears are starting to play some better football. So give me the Bears at home.
I've got the Bears at home too. What I think the difference in this one is going to be is the Bears defense gives up the third most fantasy point per game to running backs. And
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota is missing their wide receiver. So they've got to trust Alexander Madison, but I just don't think he's good enough to overcome the missing key link there with Justin Jefferson. So while the Bears defense does like to give up those rushing yards, I just don't think the Vikings have enough of a rushing squad to fill in that gap. I mean, Fields has thrown for 617 yards in his past 2 games, like the fourth most in the NFL. I mean, they're still 1-4, but Justin Fields' stats are so much better than Kirk Cousins at this point that I think both of you, I mean, you're both missing very good wide receivers, but I think Jefferson's going to be the difference maker here, his loss. So I'm picking the Bears too.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's another toss-up. Like the Bears could easily regress and look bad again, and the Vikings get the win. But no, Justin Jefferson is a huge loss. I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to overcome that. You got Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. I agree with you. I don't really trust their running game with Alexander Madison and Ty Chandler. So I think the Bears get it done, but I think it's a close game. A field goal difference probably. It's going to come down to the wire again.
I don't think this one is. I think the Bears are going to have a handle on this one. I think it's going to
Hey,
look like last week.
hey, if we blow them out, I'll be happy. The Bears got to continue to prove it to me because I don't trust this team. But if Justin Fields can ball out, anything can happen.
Fair. All right. So speaking of people we don't trust, Joe Burrow with that injury, he's been on and off, good, bad, very hot and cold with that. How are we feeling about the 3-1 Seahawks at the 2-3 Bengals?
Well, the Bengals bounced back in a big way last week. Jamar Chase was absolutely unguardable against the Arizona Cardinals. The Bengals are capable of playing a lot better and playing some good football. This is a game the Bengals can win. They can do it. They've got the weapons. Joe Burrow's got the talent. I know he's not as mobile as he usually is with that injury, but his arm's fine. So, but the difference is Jamal Adams is expected to play. The Seahawks have Legion of Boom 2.0 over there. Um, I'm a big Kenneth Walker fan. Geno Smith is continuing to play well. Give me the Seahawks on the road in Cincinnati. I don't think Jamar Chase is going for 15 catches and 3 touchdowns this week. Give me the Seahawks to get a big road win here.
Yeah, I'm on board with you with this one. I mean, Seattle ranking fourth in NFL pass rush rate
Mm-hmm.
versus Joe Burrow's mobility. I think Seattle's going to win this one. I mean, they're coming off an 11 sack
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I don't see this going real well for Joe Burrow. And then Jamal Adams being back from that concussion, that's a huge difference maker there too, as well. So I mean, Jamar Chase looked great last week. Joe Burrow and him, their connection makes him a little dangerous, but I don't think they're going to be dangerous against that Seattle defense.
Yeah, and the Seahawks had their bye week last week, so an extra week to prepare for Cincinnati. I think they're going to be ready. I agree with you. Jamal Adams is a huge addition to that secondary. I think they pick off Joe Burrow a couple times, maybe at least give me like 2 picks from the Seattle secondary. So I think it's going to be a good week for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean Seattle's 16-4 in the Eastern time zone since 2018. I think they're going to be 17-4 after this week.
Yeah, and then what are your thoughts on the Bengals? If they fall to 2-4, are the Bengals going to make the playoffs? Joe Burrow, how long is this going to hamper him? Like Cincinnati, man, this might not. I mean, how bad do you think it could get for Cincinnati?
I I mean, I think there's still time to turn it around. We've seen some teams start the season with, 2-6 and come back and make the playoffs. So I think if
Mm-hmm.
if the injury is what the issue is, they'll be able to, handle it long term. I think if they do win this game, if they pull off a win here, that'll be a huge statement from the Bengals.
Yeah. Yep.
Last week they looked good, but they're playing a better team than they played last week for sure. But I just don't see them being able to pull it off against that Seattle defense. But I think they have time to sort it out.
Yeah. I think if they win this, then everyone's going to be on alert. The Bengals are back. They're feeling themselves, especially if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase play well again. But give me the Seahawks talent and being healthy. The Seahawks are the better team here. And usually I pick the home team, but not in this case. I agree with you. Give me Seattle.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, and especially looking at that AFC North, I think that's one of those divisions where any of those teams could fall off the top very easily. I mean, Pittsburgh and Baltimore both have 3 wins, but both of those teams are pretty suspect so far this season. So I think even if they lose this one, the Bengals still have a shot at the division.
yeah, and if the Titans win in London, then the Ravens are 3-3. Like, so the Bengals could be 2-4 and one game out of first place. Like, it's a
I mean,
very interesting division.
that's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah. So let's go Niners at Browns. 5-0 Niners at the 2-2 Browns. Deshaun Watson's gonna miss his second straight game. So no Dorian Thompson Robinson. PJ Walker's gonna start this game. He's actually 4-3 record as a starter, but I've seen him as the Bears backup. He's not very good. Give me the Niners in a big way in Cleveland. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Bears or the Browns defense is solid. We've seen them
Mm-hmm.
do some really great stuff this year, but there is no way that the 49ers offense is going to be stopped by them. So I mean, one of the best NFL offenses versus a defense that has barely an offense. I mean, the Niners are going to take this one for sure. They're just too efficient offensively to be held back by the Browns defense, although they are number one in defensive efficiency. I just think that the Niners, with their 30 points in 8 straight games, I think the Browns are going to get their butts kicked.
Ooh, bold prediction time. That streak ends on Sunday. I think the Browns defense holds the Niners to like 24 points, but I think they still win easily. Give me like 24-6 49ers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
And
I mean, Miles Garrett is a playmaker here for sure, but I
yeah,
just don't know. I don't know. The Browns are a bit of a wild card, but I think the Niners are gonna be solid. I could see it being like a 28-20 situation. I mean, I could see them going under 30.
yeah,
But I could also see it going the other way and the Browns just not showing up without that the morale boost of having their starting QB in. I mean,
yeah.
it could be 40 13 too. So I'm not sure here, but definitely the Niners winning.
Real quick, what do you think of that? So, like, Brock Purdy is a young quarterback. A lot of times with young quarterbacks, you see the inconsistency from week to week, and it's natural, right? Brock Purdy, there's no issues. Like, seventh round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. It's more than just a scheme, right? This dude is absolutely balling right now. I mean, like, are we looking at potentially like a Tom Brady-esque type player? I mean, he looks good.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast. I think that people just want to doubt him because, oh no, Mr. Irrelevant isn't going to be the next Tom Brady. And they, said he was the weak link on the team. I don't think he is. I think he's another strength. And I think he's just quietly staying focused, keeping his head in the game. We haven't seen him phased by anything. He's
Mm-hmm.
not getting riled up. He's not getting in his head, even when they're in challenging situations. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, and everyone wants to make fun of the Cowboys offense and Dak and all that. But what gets lost in that is Brock Purdy absolutely dicing up a really good Cowboys defense. Micah Parsons and those boys. So people need to start giving Brock Purdy more and more credit as he keeps doing this week to week.
Absolutely agree with you.
All right. So you're taking the 0-5 Panthers to get their first win of the season in Miami, right?
I want to. I really, really want that to happen. I was making jokes about that as I was working on my notes. I was like, I just want to pick it. I just think it would be funny. I think, but I can't do it.
Yeah. No, I think this is gonna. I mean, this might be like the Broncos game. Like, this might be really bad. I mean, I don't see anything good in Carolina. I really don't. I think they're a terrible team. The only bright spot in Carolina is Adam Thielen. Like, honestly, the coach sucks. You got a rookie quarterback who's inconsistent and struggling. Miles Sanders is gonna miss the game, I believe. The Dolphins, are playing good football still. Devon Achane is going to miss it, so that's something. But the Dolphins should put up 30 plus comfortably, if not 40. And I don't see the Panthers doing much more than 17. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers offense gave up 21 points off turnovers to the Lions last week.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, you said you don't see anything good in Carolina. I want to just give them a little bit of credit. Carolina has the fourth highest sack rate in the NFL with the second best third down defense. So they do have those two stats. I mean, they're the league's worst expected points allowed, and defending the run, they're the worst. So I think Miami's going to run all over them for sure, especially because they're missing Dante Jackson potentially. He's coming back from an injury, but they said that he may not play. And two secondary starters are already out. So I think that this is going to be a Denver repeat, like you said. But maybe just don't pick against the Dolphins this time.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to pick against the Dolphins soon, but not this week.
Yeah, this isn't my pick either.
Yeah. So we agree on that.
Yeah, I mean the
Um,
Dolphins have the most yards through 5 games in NFL history. They have 2,568 total yards of offense this year. I mean, they only need
Jesus.
489 more to pass the 2,000 Rams for the most yards through 6 games. And I think they'll be able to get that against the Panthers here.
Yeah, and I messaged OJ McDuffie this week. I was like, because I saw some quotes from Mike McDaniel post game that I've been hating on Mike McDaniel a lot since he came into the league. I just didn't trust him. I didn't like him. He seemed like an analytics guy. He just seemed like a geek, like one of those analytic nerds that doesn't belong being a head coach. But the quotes were saying after the last game, talking about the defense, talking about the running game, staying balanced. Who gives a shit about credit? Just win football games. Not caring about the stats. He's making me kind of like him. So, credit
Yeah,
to
and I
Mike
think his
McDaniel.
I think what he
Yeah,
was saying about someone asked, he was like, "Oh, was that play designed that way?" And he's like, "No, I trust the quarterback. Like if he sees something better, like take it. It's about winning. It's not about sticking rigidly to the play call. If the play call doesn't pan out the way we want it, like pull an audible, do what you see. Like if you see an opening, take it." I
yeah,
love
yeah. It's smart. It's what we want to hear from a head coach. And so he gained some points in my book this week. So I'm still not a big fan, but he gained some points. So we'll see if he can keep it up.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there.
Um, let's go. This game is an interesting one in the AFC South. The 3-2 Colts at the 3-2 Jags battle for first place. Gardner Minshew getting the start, going against his old team, the team that drafted him. Um, Interesting game here, but give me the Jags at home. Uh, I Gardner Minshew's played very well in Indy since coming back. Do I trust him while Anthony Richardson is expected to miss a month to 2 months? Do I trust Gardner Minshew to keep this team to get this team to the playoffs? No, I don't. I think this is not a playoff team, and Minshew has been playing well, but will he keep it up all year? I don't think so. Josh Allen is nasty. The Jags, I think, will get pressure on him. Trevor Lawrence is by far the better quarterback. The Jags are the better offense. Give me the Jags. Show up, Jacksonville. Don't pull a game where you sleepwalk through it. Show up, play your best football, get a win at home. Give me Jacksonville.
Uh, I'm still on the fence about this one. I mean, I know that you say you don't trust Minshew passing, but this will be the second week that Jonathan Taylor is back. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
still have Zach Moss. The coach said he intends to give Taylor an increased role this week, now that he's like fully back. So I think this is going to be a running type game. The Colts can rely on that run game. They've got a great duo there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, Lawrence has a 7.7% off target percentage, which is the second lowest in the NFL against zone coverage, which is interesting because the Colts use zone coverage pretty well. So I'm intrigued by that matchup there. I don't want to pick against you just to pick against you, but I feel like I have to here because I hadn't made my pick before we came on here. I literally just wrote in bold toss up, and then if the Jags adjusting to being back on U.S. soil is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I think maybe Minshew kind of comes in with a chip on his shoulder. But yeah, I don't know here. I think I'll just pick against you just for the fun of it and just see what happens.
Good, because I need to catch you, so I like it. And
Huh, I know
don't
I'm going to. Cute.
don't don't bet against stop betting against Trevor Lawrence. I know that he's had an up and down start to the season. I'm telling you, and I've been saying it for 2 years now. Trevor Lawrence is coming, and he he might not have had his best statistical games. He might have had some, inaccurate throws. They've been so close, like a second foot inbounds in the back of the end zone away. Like they could have beat the Chiefs at home. They're a very talented team that hasn't clicked exactly perfectly right yet. And I think this is a game they start to do it. They just beat the Bills. They're on a winning streak. Give me the Jags. They're going to get hot here. And I think they end up running away with this division. I really do. I'm very high on this Jags team. They haven't clicked exactly right yet, but it's coming.
Okay, you just told me to stop betting against them. I've picked them each of the past 3 weeks. This is the first week
Well,
I haven't picked them in 4 weeks, so I don't want to hear it, okay?
did it? Wait. Did it? You pick the Bills last week?
Oh, you're right. I skipped back to week 4. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
3 out of the past 4 weeks, I picked the Jags. So
right.
I
All
picked the
right.
Bills last week because I love Josh Allen, and I think the Bills just played a shitty game there. But yeah, I've picked the Jags all season. I just wanted to root for my boys last week. So
Well, I was also talking to like everyone in general too, more so than just you two. Like a lot of people are
I'll
second
take that shit
guessing.
personally.
Well, a lot of people are second guessing Trevor Lawrence and the Jags a little bit. It's like, stop. We know Trevor Lawrence is going to be an absolute baller in this league. Like, it's easy money. Stop second guessing him. I said 2 years ago, he reminds me of a young Peyton Manning. This dude's going to be a baller, in my opinion.
Oh no, I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be one of those quiet. He's not going to cause drama in the media. I agree with the
Yeah,
Peyton Manning thing. He's good.
like,
He's quietly
like,
good, but he'll
like,
always be a thorn in the side of the bigger name quarterbacks.
yeah, like complete professional locker room leader. He's got all the
Mhm.
intangibles, and he's very smart. Like, he's an underrated athlete too, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I think he's great on his legs as well. But I think this game is going to come down to Jonathan Taylor versus that Jags defense, and then Taylor Lawrence versus that Colts defense. I don't think it's going to be about the quarterbacks so much. But yeah, I would pick the Jags, but I'm just trying to spite you at this point. So
well, you got a point. If Zach Moss can go off the way he did last week, if that's
with
just
Jonathan
like
Taylor back, yeah.
yeah, if that's just an O line thing, like if the O line is that dominant, creating running lanes and stuff, and Jonathan Taylor gets those opportunities,
Hmm.
then damn, like he might go off. So we'll see. This is a good week for the Colts to prove themselves as well.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm looking forward to that one.
Absolutely. All right.
Um, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so Saints Texans. I know you and I have made some interesting picks here throughout the season. We've had our opinions about the Texans. I'd love to hear your take on this one. We got the 3-2 Saints at the 2-3 Texans. Um, two pretty strong teams.
Hmm.
What's your take on this one?
I'm looking forward to this game as well. CJ Stroud has been so great to start his NFL career. Breaks the record for consecutive passes without an interception. I'm here to put the wet blanket on the fire. This is the week CJ Stroud throws an interception. I love CJ Stroud. I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. The Saints are underrated, and people need to start taking the Saints seriously. Derek Carr is balling. Michael Thomas is reemerging as a very solid receiver so far through 5 games. They have yet to get Chris Olave really going. Alvin Kamara's back. This defense is underrated. We saw Tyrann Mathieu with a pick six last week. This Saints team is coming. I think they win that division, and I think they get a big road win here, and I think they look very good in the process. I don't think that 34-0 blowout win in Foxborough was a fluke. I think the Saints team is for real.
I'm kind of annoyed with you right now because I literally wrote at the top of my notes, Saints defense get CJ Stroud's first touchdown, exclamation point,
That's
exclamation point, exclamation point. I mean, they've already
awesome.
tied last season's interception total. They have an interception in 4 out of 5 games, a turnover in all the games. I
Yep.
mean, with the Saints' knack for forcing turnovers, they're definitely like if there's a team who's gonna do it, they're gonna be the ones to do it. So I'm annoyed that you stole the thunder with that one, but I like that we're on the same page. Yeah, I mean, Alvin Kamara has 50 career rushing touchdowns. I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those games. He became the Saints' all-time rushing leader last week, passing Marquez Colston. I mean, or two shy of tying, sorry.
Hmm.
He's two away of Mark Ingram to become the all-time leader. My bad. Anyway, but yeah, I think the Saints have been overlooked this season, which is weird because they've dropped the hammer a couple times and people
Yeah.
just aren't taking them seriously. But we do love CJ Stroud. The Texans, they're an interesting team to play. When CJ Stroud gets rolling, he is really hard to stop. Um, so I'll be intrigued to see how this one comes out for sure. I think something important to watch is the Saints right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk. He's one of the
Hmm.
best tackles. So him against Will Anderson Jr. is going to be such an interesting matchup to watch. Anderson Jr. hasn't had a sack in 4 games, but we know he will get them. So it'll be interesting to see which quarterback holds out here.
Yeah, and this is no shot at the Texans. Again, we love CJ Stroud, and I just think 6 to 7 wins this year for the Texans is good. Like considering how bad they were last year, and they're a young team with a rookie head coach. They're building something, but they're not going to the playoffs this year. Like no one believes that. So 6, 7, and 10, that's a win. That's a good season. So I think this is an expected loss. It would make sense for the Saints to get this win, And a lot of people are disrespecting the Saints, I think, based on Derek Carr. The national media, the national thinking around Derek Carr is he's not that good. And I disagree strongly. I think the Raiders made a big mistake. Josh McDaniels doing what he does, which is make big mistakes. And Derek Carr with a fresh start in New Orleans, he's going to, I believe, take this team to the playoffs, win the division, have a home playoff game. And I'm a big fan of the Saints team this year. So, and the CJ Stroud streak, we're on the same page, and it's bound to end eventually. Why not this week, right?
Yeah, I think that defense will be the ones to knock it off for sure.
Yeah. So, great minds think alike there.
Yeah, it's weird that we agree on things sometimes, but yeah, I'll take it.
Yep. All right, 1-4 Patriots at the 2-3 Raiders. Bill Belichick against Josh McDaniels. This is a tough game to pick as well, but I cannot pick the Patriots anymore. I simply can't. Like
Oh,
bench Mac Jones, they've lost by 35 and 34 in back-to-back weeks. Nobody in their right mind, not even diehard Patriot fans, should be picking New England to win this game. The Raiders
yeah.
aren't that good, but the Raiders are good enough to win this.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots have been outscored 72-3 in the past two games. That's fucking insane anyway. But the Raiders defense has only given up 13 points in the past six quarters while
Wow.
forcing four turnovers. So yeah, the Raiders record doesn't look great, but their last game and a half, they've played really fucking well. I mean,
Hmm.
and the coaching staffs, they're so familiar with each other. I mean, we've got McDaniels, who spent 19 years with the Patriots, 13 as the offensive coordinator. And the offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi, he spent 3 years with the Pats as an assistant QB coach and a wide receiver coach. So, I mean, they know the ins and the outs of the Patriots. So I think the Raiders will have this one. I mean, the Pats have the league's lowest with two takeaways all season. Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown seven this year.
Wow.
So, I mean, that could be an interesting stat there, but I think even if Jimmy tries to throw this game away, the Raiders will still have this one.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots are more competitive and it's a hard fought like a one score game, honestly. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. But I can't pick the Patriots to get the win. I think the Raiders do just enough, much like the Green Bay game on Monday night, where the Raiders didn't look that good. They just found a way to win it. And I think the same thing happens here.
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders should have had that game in the bag
Yeah.
against that shitty team they were playing. We don't need to name names. Um, but yeah, there's no reason this one shouldn't be one. And the Raiders kicker, Daniel Carlson, last season he had the league most kicks over 50 yards with 11. He's 0-2 this year. So I think this is the week that he figures it out. And I mean, if he has to go up for a 50 plus yarder, I think he gets this one. Because he's getting more accurate. I mean, they've given him a break on those long kicks this season, the past couple of games, but I think he's gonna find his stride in this game. And I mean, if you get your kicker on board and your offense is playing so well the past six quarters, I think the Raiders have this one for sure. And that
Yeah.
edge rusher ran all over the Packers. He killed us. Max Crosby, oh
Yeah,
man,
he's a
it was
dog.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Pats O-line is going to be so outmatched.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
going to
I
be
don't.
max sacks every other play.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how quick the leash is on Mac Jones. See if we get Bailey Zappi in what the second quarter. I mean, it's got to be running out his time. Bailey Zappi needs to start getting some more opportunities.
I just don't know how many weeks in a row you can bench your starting quarterback and still have him be your starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't either. And Bill Belichick's got to figure something out. That organization has to be embarrassed after back-to-back 34 plus point losses. Like
Mm.
that's embarrassing as hell.
Yeah. And I mean that's on the defense, it's on the offense, it's on the quarterback, it's on the wide receivers too. Those wide
Yeah,
receivers cannot create separation to save their lives. They're 30th in pass block win rate.
yeah,
Like
and we can't
it's
forget that Bill Belichick is a multi-champion winner. He knows what it takes to win. He cannot be sleeping well at night right now. You know,
Yeah.
he knows he's fucking up. So
Yeah. And Josh McDaniels is 2-0 against him. I mean,
yeah,
if he wins this, he'll join Dave Wernstedt. Wernstedt, I don't know how to say his last name. As
Wanstead,
Wannstedt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
I prefer to read my sport, so I never know how to pronounce anything. But
He's
as
a
the only
former
coaches to defeat him and the Patriots in each of their first three meetings. So,
nice,
I mean, Josh McDaniels has to be keeping Belichick up at night already.
yeah. Yeah, a little note on Wanstead. He was the first Bears coach when I was a little kid watching the Bears. Dave Wanstead.
Okay. That's cute.
So,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
always been someone who likes to like read my news in hard print because I can't stand hearing men talk at me all the time. Um, so if I pronounce name wrongs on the podcast and you guys want to talk shit, go ahead. I just don't like to hear people's opinions while I'm reading my information, you know?
Thanks. I hear it. 1-4 Cardinals at the 2-3 Rams. What are you thinking here? I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer. The Rams get to 500. Cardinals, if they're gonna allow Jamar Chase to do that to them, they're gonna allow Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua to go
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. Rams by double digits.
Well, I agree, especially with James Conner on IR with that knee injury. I mean, the Cardinals don't have another running back with more than 48 rushing yards total.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, Joshua Dobbs is going to have to make up for his absence, but I mean, he's only thrown 6 touchdowns so far this season.
yeah. It
So,
was fun while it lasted. The Cardinals got a win. They snuck up on some people and were competitive when no one expected it. Now we're getting to reality, and the Cardinals can see that 3-14, 4-13 at best is on the horizon. This isn't a very good team, and the Rams are decent still. So
yeah, I mean, their running back next up is Amari Democrado. I don't think he's going to be able to fill that James Conner hole. And that Rams rush defense, I mean, they're not great, but
good enough.
I they're going to be good enough. I mean, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are going to handle whatever Matt Stafford tosses that direction, and it's just that's a no brainer.
Yeah. Go ahead with the next one.
All right, so what I consider the game of the week, we've got the 4-1 Lions at the 3-1 Buccaneers. I mean, we've got the leader of the NFC North, the leader of the NFC South. I think this one is going to be such a good game, and I know people are picking the Lions in a blowout win here, but I think the Bucs are going to put up a fight. I mean, the Lions' offense is on fire, 29.6 points per game, fourth best in the league, but the Bucs have a great red zone defense, second best in the league. I mean, they're so efficient. They're holding opposing quarterbacks to just 33% of their passes. I mean, it's going to be such a fun matchup, and I think this game is going to be epic this week. I think it's going to be the best one. I mean, Tampa Bay's rush defense solid. Detroit's
Yeah.
rush also solid. I mean, Montgomery is definitely in a groove, and the Lions continue to feed him the ball. I don't think a Lions player has rushed for 100 or more yards in 3 games since Barry Sanders. And I
Yeah.
wasn't able to fact check this because I just couldn't sort it out, but I'm pretty sure Montgomery is their best running back since Barry Sanders in the 90s.
Oh
Not
yeah.
sure if it was 99 or 98. I can double check that. I was trying to look it up, but I was getting some mixed results there. But I mean, yeah, this one is going to be the Lions winning, but it's going to be a tough game. Um,
Uh, Thank you for picking. So you're picking the Lions?
I'm picking the Lions.
I love it. Baker is gonna wake up feeling dangerous. How can you pick against your boy
Okay, see, but
Baker
here's the thing though.
and the
I will be
Bucks?
rooting for the Baconaires. However, if they lose,
Oh, you're
then at
hedging your
least I got
bet.
my
Is what
pick
you're
right.
doing. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. I'll be
Well,
happy either way at the end of this game, but I'm pulling for them. I think people are picking the Lions blindly because like, oh, 4-1. Okay, the Lions are gonna win. No, the Bucks have only allowed 4 sacks this season. It's the fewest allowed by a team through 4 games since '08,
mhm.
which I think is a
No,
great stat compared to the Lions, who have 14 sacks against opposing quarterbacks.
yeah, no,
I think
I
that's
love it. Like this is gonna be a great game. It's gonna be hard fought. It's gonna be
oh,
fun,
I cannot
and
wait for this game.
and everyone, Lions fans, and I mean, you saw the quote. I'm pretty sure Chris Sims saying the Lions are a Super Bowl team. He said that this week. Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? Like, no, win a playoff game, win a division, and then
Literally
we can
one
talk
time,
about,
just once.
yeah, like, what are we doing here? The Lions are a great story. They're built through the trenches. Dan Campbell's building something. David Montgomery's running great. But Super Bowl? Are we kidding? Like, for real. So this is a perfect matchup right here. This is a Lions typical ass loss. This is what they do. 4-1, great story. We've seen this before. Great story. Excellent start to the season. A road game against an underrated team that is talented. You're talking Vita Vea, Levante David, Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. The Bucks have dogs. This is a game. The Bucks. This is going to be a good game, and the Bucks win by 3 or 6. Low, hard fought, but give me Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay at home, and bring the Lions fans back down to reality for a second. Dan
Okay,
Orlovsky, get off your soapbox. Let's use some common sense here. If the Lions win this, then credit to them. They're better than I thought. But
okay. Let me just say, Sims is the
yeah,
only person I'm from Michigan. Like, I have not seen any other Lions fan running their mouth about the Lions going to the Super Bowl.
yeah, Chris Sims
Every
was
single
smoking.
Lions fan I know personally, I have one visiting me now from right out of town. Like, he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's nice so far. We'll see what happens." Like, no other Lions fan is like, "Yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl." Sims sounds like a fucking Cowboys fan in week 3. That's what they sound like every year. I don't think actual Lions fans feel that way. I think as a whole, they are quietly respecting where their team is and not getting up any expectations because they know what it's like to be a Detroit fan. I
Yeah,
think one or two loudmouth ones are making them look bad, but
yeah,
absolutely do not think the whole of Detroit Lions fans feel that way and are out running their mouths because 4-1 for Detroit, that's a fucking Super Bowl in itself. Like, they are
yeah,
not getting their hopes up. They're not taking anything for granted right now. So Sims needs to shut his mouth and not be making Detroit Lions fans look bad. And listen, I'm a Packers fan. I have no soft spot for the Detroit Lions. I could not give two shits about them. They're my least favorite team in the NFC North historically. However, this year, you got to put some respect on their name. They're playing pretty damn well.
yeah. Like, I agree with what you said completely. Like, I don't feel like it's the hometown Detroit Lions fans that are going crazy talking about the Super Bowl because they know they've followed any Lions fan that's followed this team for 10 years or more will tell you this is what we do. We might start out hot, but 2007 wasn't that long ago. He started 6-2 and they went 1-7 the rest of the year and finished 7-9. Like, you have to constantly prove it week in, week out. And Dan Campbell knows that. The Lions know that. For Chris Sims and Dan Orlovsky and some of these talking head national media types to be talking like this is stupid, it's reckless, and it's ruining it for other people. And you got people like me that are going to come on the show and shit on the Lions. But this is a typical game where the Bucks are at home. The Bucks are an underrated team. They're a very good team. Baker Mayfield is playing better than a lot of people thought, and I just feel like the Bucks are going to win this a close game, a hard fought game, but the Bucks are going to get it done. And I'm looking forward to this one. We're both in agreement. This is going to be a great game. I love that you're picking the Lions because I need to catch you. And this, thank you, because I need to catch you, and this is a perfect game for that. So,
I mean, listen, I hope I'm wrong on this one. I will take this loss. I want the Buccaneers to win so badly, but I have picked the Lions to lose one game so far this season, and I was wrong about which game it was.
yeah, the
But so
Chiefs,
far I've
yeah.
been pretty accurate about their record. Um, so I mean, either way, I'll be happy.
um, Real quick, Jahmyr Gibbs is not playing once again, so this will be a second game in a row without playing. Uh, why did the Lions get rid of DeAndre Swift again? Oh, he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, so
look.
we're gonna go
I
get.
I do think, speaking of the Lions offense, I do think Jameson Williams, their wide receiver, I mean,
Yeah,
he had 2 receptions for 2 yards last week, like
yeah,
not great at all. I think this will be a good breakout game for him.
Yeah, they need him to. He was a high draft pick with a lot of potential, a lot of talent. He needs to get involved. He needs to get going. It's going to help that Amon Ra is coming back and going to play in this game. That's a
Mhm.
big boost for them. So I can't wait for this game. It's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
I'm stoked. I could only watch this game this week and be perfectly happy. I mean, the Packers have a bye week, thank God, so I don't have any other horse in the race.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would only watch this game if you put a gun to my head and made me pick one game, this would be the one.
nice. Um, let's go to the undefeated 5-0 Eagles at the 2-3 Jets. The Eagles are going to be without number one corner Darius Slay and rookie monster defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Is that enough? Missing those guys, is that enough? And on the road, is that enough for the Jets to shock America and get a big ass win and give the Eagles their first loss of the season? What do you think?
Okay. Look, I love Brees Hall. I think the Jets' chances of pulling an upset, their first ever win against the Eagles, I think that all would have to come from a great game by Brees Hall. I mean, he's fully recovered from his ACL surgery last year. The Jets are the only team in the league that averages more yards per rushing play than passing play. So they're, all ground because, they have to be. They thought they were coming into the season with Aaron Rodgers, and that didn't really play out. So they have been great running the ball more than they're passing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Jets O line ranks 13 in run block win rate. That bodes well for Hall. I just don't see that being enough to overcome the Eagles. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be a great game for running backs. I mean, we've got two of the most productive running backs in the NFL, one on each team, DeAndre Swift for the Eagles, Brees Hall. I mean, we've got like fourth and sixth ranked in the NFL. I just I just don't think it's going to be enough for that Eagles defense. I am excited for this game though because I think we've got, some players who haven't been producing as much as they ought to be. I mean, Devontae Smith, where has he been? I mean, we've seen for the Eagles wide receivers, we've seen AJ Brown, we've seen Dallas Goedert. They've been center stage, they've been beautiful. But Devontae Smith had a one catch outing versus the Rams.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that Jets pass defense is gonna be limiting the offense enough that they have to spread the ball around, and Devontae Smith might have his comeback week, and I'll be intrigued to see how that plays out.
No, I think this is actually going to be a really good game. I think that no Jalen Carter and no Darius Slay, that's two huge missing pieces. You were talking about the running back battle. Give me Brees Hall all day in this matchup. I think the Jets' run D is solid. I think the Jets' defense overall, I think they're going to show up in this game. They're going to preach all week about how important this game is to get back to 500, a chance to show ourselves, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, and to contain Jalen Hurts. And they're not going to let. I don't think DeAndre Swift has a great game. And then if you can make Jalen Hurts and that Eagles offense one dimensional, you got a shot, And so, is Zach Wilson enough? Probably not. Maybe the Eagles win by one score. I think it's going to be a good game, but enough for me to pick the Jets. I don't think so. You're picking the Eagles?
Yeah, I have to. I just don't trust the Jets offensive line. I mean, they lost Elijah Vera Tucker for the season, and they
Yeah.
were just starting to click. I don't think Zach Wilson is going to have enough protection against that Eagles D to make the right plays.
Yeah, and then does Zach Wilson turn the ball over,
That's what I'm thinking. And also, it's one of those situations where, yeah, it's going to be two great running backs, but I agree with you. I don't think DeAndre Swift is going to be the playmaker that he normally is in this game. I think Brees Hall is going to be by far the best running back in the game. However, the Jets allow the second most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks,
Oh yeah.
and they're playing Jalen Hurts. He's got 55 rushes, which is the most among quarterbacks, 206 rushing yards, which is the second most, and 4 rushing touchdowns, which is tied for the most. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be doing all the rushing for this team, and he's got those wide receivers for the deep ball. I think the Eagles are going to take this one.
Yeah. I'm still kind of thinking about this one. Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk, he picked the Jets to win this one.
Huh.
And he
What
had
was
some
his reason?
just like just one of those games where, like, Robert Sala, Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, the Jets have dogs. They do. If Garrett Wilson potentially. Zach Wilson's going to need to play the game of his life, and he really hasn't played that bad recently. You know, man.
So you
It's
want to pick this game to be the Eagles' first loss of the season? You're fighting the urge. I hear it. I mean,
hard to pull the trigger on this one.
okay, so say the Eagles win this one. Coming down the line, we've got them at home versus the Dolphins, at Commanders, at home versus the Cowboys, and then at Chiefs. Where is their first loss coming?
It's coming soon. It absolutely is.
Do you think the Cowboys are going to come into Philly and beat them, or do you think they're going to lose it in Kansas City?
So at Jets, I mean, they could have lost at Rams. They did a good job of getting that win.
Yeah.
Versus Dolphins is tough. Even in Philly, that's a tough game. They're going to need Jalen Carter and Darius Slay for that one. At
Yeah.
Commanders, could be. You
I
never
was going to
know.
say the Commanders took it to overtime last time, and they only won by a field goal in OT, and they're going to Washington this time. I
I'll
would
tell
be
you.
so intrigued if the Commanders beat them on the
I'll tell
29th
you.
of October.
I'll tell you where the Eagles struggle. They got a. Do you see this on the schedule? Look at week 11 through week 15.
Mm-hmm.
They might
Yeah.
lose 3 games in that span.
I like it.
That's a tough ass span.
Yeah, I mean,
So
coming down the stretch, we've got the Dolphins, whose offense is insane. So that Eagles defense is going to take a hit. The Commanders, who almost beat them 3 weeks ago at home. And then we've got, Dallas coming to town. That's always interesting, that interdivision game. Going to Kansas City. The Bills come into town. The Niners come into town. Going to Dallas. I mean, fuck,
going to
they've got a
Seattle,
schedule. Going to
yeah,
Seattle.
yeah,
They're gonna take a beating one of these games, and I just don't know which one it's going to be, and I think I'm going to be surprised by which one it is,
yeah.
but I don't think it's going to be this week.
This week, because I'm gonna pick the Eagles next week. Fuck it, give me the Jets. I don't give a shit. Give me the Jets. That's
All right, see,
probably
this is
gonna
where
be
I
a
make up
loss.
picks, though. You make those hate picks.
Yeah. Well, I don't hate the Eagles either. I'm rooting for the Jets.
No, I
And
just meant you hate me. That's why you're picking against me.
if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back, and Robert Saleh's preaching that too, right? We got to stay competitive because Rodgers is coming back. You get to 500, give me the Jets. I've talked myself into it. I'm probably going to regret it, but give me the Jets at home.
I love any pick you make where the words "I'm probably going to regret it afterwards." Those are my favorite ones. I love that for you. I'm very happy to take my lead even further this week.
I'm going to be gaining on you so much in the other games. I can take a loss here.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. We'll see how that plays out. All right. So speaking of how things play out, Daniel Jones is out this week at the Bills for the Giants. We got the 1-4 Giants at the 3-2 Bills. Tyrod Taylor in, Daniel Jones out. What is your take on that game? I mean, we've got the rookie free agent Tommy DeVito elevated from the practice squad to serve as Tyrod Taylor's backup. He was undrafted from Illinois this year. That's their quarterback room right now.
Yeah, that's terrible. This sucks, honestly. This pisses me off. I wish Daniel Jones was playing because then at least it would be something to watch. Sunday Night Football is going to suck. The Bills
Mhm.
demolished this team. This is a 38-7 type game. This is disgusting. 38-10 at best. This is a boring ass game. I hate it for Sunday Night Football. We're going to have all this good football. Lions Bucks at 4:15.
Is
And
it
then
too early to flex?
yeah, I know, right? Like, get that game out of here. The Giants
Oh,
can't.
yeah, it's gonna be fucking awful.
We'll see if Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller are both questionable. This is the easiest pick of the week. The Bills are gonna kick their ass.
I know. From what I've seen, it looks like Saquon Barkley is playing. I expect him, if he is playing, to come back 100+ yards. I think he's gonna come back off that ankle injury, ready to roll. I think this is gonna be a great bounce back opportunity for the Bills offense too. I
Yeah,
mean, they failed on me last week. I'm, disappointed in that one, but I think they're gonna be ready to play. So yeah, I mean, Von Miller wasn't even a difference maker at all last week. I don't know what happened there. He only played 23% of the snaps, but I think he's going to be back and ready to roll too. So yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a very sad Sunday night football, but at least the Bills will have a win.
Yeah, and yeah, this Giants team doesn't look very good. Even when fully healthy, they don't look very good. So,
Yeah.
let's go to Monday night. This is actually a great game. Monday night, I'm looking forward to it. None of these two games at once crap. We can
Mm-hmm.
actually sit down and watch one full game, get our full attention to it. And this is an excellent game. The 3-2 Cowboys at the 3-2 Chargers. Cowboys coming off an embarrassing loss. The Chargers coming off their bye, so extra time to get ready for this game, right? I'm correct in that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, this is a toss-up game. Who are you thinking for here? Austin Eckler expected to be back into play.
So this game, just quick correction here. The Chargers are 2-2.
2-2?
Yeah, they've already had their bye week, I think. Yeah, they had their bye week last week. So not 3-2, 2-2. I think this is interesting. So I am not sure on this one because what I like about this one is Kellen Moore was fired by the Cowboys as the offensive coordinator after last season's divisional round playoff loss. Mike McCarthy took over as offensive play caller. Chargers scooped him up. They fired Joe Lombardi. Moore has been, with the Chargers now, league's best passing offense, top 3. Now he's facing his former team, fresh off the Cowboys losing by 32 points. And McCarthy, who wanted to take over play calling, he wanted the duties back, he wanted to be in charge. I don't think the results have proven that he was ready to take over that role again. I mean, Dallas is just 15th in expected points per play. Like I just don't think it's being all it was cracked up to be with him taking the lead again. And I have always had my questions about Mike McCarthy. So when he went to Dallas, I was like, okay, cool, he can suck there instead of Green Bay. But I think this is going to be a bit of a revenge game for Kellen Moore.
Yeah. Um, I I'm not so I
I'm not
don't
saying it's going to be a successful revenge game, but I think it's going to have some personal feelings involved.
absolutely. Kellen Moore is going to want to have his best game. He's going to want the Chargers offense to be great. Austin Eckler back is a huge boost. The Chargers, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, they got dogs on that defense as well. Um, the Chargers should be and should have been for 3 years now a playoff team, a team that wins a game in the playoff, a team that competes with the Chiefs for the division, and they just constantly aren't. Justin Herbert's supposed to be a top 5, top 10 at least quarterback in the league. He's got great stats, but they don't win football games. And Brandon Staley is constantly hurting his own team. The Cowboys are an up and down team. One week they're shit, the next week they look like contenders. They're one of those teams. I think it's a bounce back week for Dallas. I got the Cowboys to go into SoFi and steal this win.
So what you're saying about the Cowboys being a bounce back team, the Chargers pass defense is the same way. So in weeks 1 and 3, they allowed 466 and 376 yards.
Yeah.
But those weren't, I mean, those numbers don't even correlate with their wins and losses. So they won in week 3 and week 4. They lost their first 2. But I mean, they're coming into things. Like they've beat the Vikings and the Raiders, which I don't think are on par with the Cowboys. So I feel like I have to take the Cowboys here too. But the Chargers are finally starting to find their footing.
This is a game the Chargers should absolutely win. They're at home. They're coming off
Yeah.
the Austin Eckler's back.
But I just don't trust them. I don't know. I'm
Exactly.
not set on my Cowboys pick. I might this might be a last minute swap for me Sunday morning or Monday morning based on how I'm feeling that day. So nobody hold me to that one. I will definitely message Alex so we have physical proof. But I mean, over the past 3 seasons, we've seen Herbert be one of the league's best quarterbacks under pressure.
Yep.
But the Cowboys lead the NFL in pressure. So I don't know.
This is, in my opinion, it's a tough one. It is. It's going to be, I think, a really good game. But the Cowboys don't strike me as a team that is not going to bounce back. Like Dak Prescott took that loss personally. Micah Parsons took that loss personally.
Yeah.
McCarthy, Jerry Jones is going to be up everyone's ass this week. The Cowboys are a playoff team, right? They are. So I trust them as crazy as that sounds. I trust the Cowboys more than I trust Brandon Staley and the Chargers. I really do. Uh, I don't trust the Chargers at all. And so give me the Cowboys in a good hard fought game, maybe by 3 points, maybe a game winning drive by Dak Prescott. Give me the Cowboys. But yeah,
I mean, the
I
Cowboys are due to win. I mean, last week they lost by 32. The week before that, they won by 35. The week before that, they lost by 12 to the Cardinals. I mean, they're
yeah,
literally every other week, which is
yeah,
pretty funny. Um, but something to take into account here, the Cowboys going into a bye week, a lot of teams tend to just be focused on that bye week and ready for some time off and not as emotionally invested in the game before the bye week. The week after the bye week, they come out hot, ready to win. The week before, after a tough loss, I'm wondering if this week is kind of like, okay, let's just get to the bye week at this point, and it's a little overlooked.
yeah. And I mean, the Cowboys are kind of teetering right here because if
Mm-hmm.
you win this game and you're 500 going to the bye, like the expectations are so high in Dallas, and if this team isn't performing, I don't know, man. I don't know about the Cowboys. Like I'm gonna pick them, but I don't know about this team. And
I mean,
Dak,
let's look at the teams they've beaten.
yeah,
They shut out the Giants, who, we've already shared our opinions on in week one. They beat the Jets by 20 the week after they lost Aaron Rodgers, so Zach Wilson was still finding his footing.
yeah,
They lost to the Cardinals, who we obviously have thoughts about at this point. I mean, they beat the Patriots, but the Patriots have been hot garbage for 2 weeks.
yeah,
And then they got their asses kicked by the only good team they've faced.
yeah. And then after their bye, they play the Rams and the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the Cowboys don't win on Monday night, they could be staring at 3-5 easily. So
You know what? I'm
they're
gonna pick the Chargers. Fuck it. I don't trust them. You can't lose to the Cardinals. No. I'm over it. We're picking the Chargers.
but they blew out the Patriots.
Yeah, but the Patriots are garbage. The Patriots have scored 3 points in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the Packers could beat the Patriots right now, and that's saying something.
This is more so. This is by far saying how much I distrust the Chargers. Like I know the Chargers are talented. I just distrust them like crazy, and I think it's a natural bounce back game for Dallas. But it's good that we disagree on some because it makes it more fun for our picks. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have what, 4 that we differ on? 5?
I think like 5 or 6. We just agree on
We
a
got a
few.
few.
Yeah,
Ravens, Titans, Commanders, Falcons, Niners, Brown. No, okay. We picked the same one on that one. Colts, Jags, we differed on. Bucks, Lions, Eagles, Jets, and Dallas Chargers.
so 5, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
All
I'll
right,
take.
good. It's an odd number, so I can beat you 4 of them. Perfect. All
I
right.
you 4 of them. So, but
Well, good shit as always. I mean, this was a good week. I think we got a little long-winded there, but hey, it's too
yeah,
much football to talk about.
it
Too
was
many
too much.
opinions to share.
Exactly. So good shit as always. Thanks. Appreciate everyone. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Stay tuned and have a great week, guys. Peace out.